Just as my white Moonlight and I were getting intimate in bed, a strange number called. Reluctantly, I answered the phone. Overcome with lust, my voice was a bit hoarse, and I unwillingly opened my mouth and said, "Who is this? What's so important this late?" The caller was my ex-wife. We had been married for 6 years, and she knew me very well. Hearing my voice and heavy breathing, she knew what I was doing. After all, she had heard it countless times. Immediately, a sharp scream came from the other end of the phone. "Yang Yunting, what are you doing? Who are you with? I was going to give you a chance. But now it seems." Recognizing her voice, I hung up without hesitation, muttering at the disconnected phone, "What a fucking psycho." Then I turned to my white Moonlight and said, "Little baby, we're not done yet. Let's continue." Song Shiya was my ex-wife. We met in high school. I was a transfer student, and she was not only the school beauty, but also a top student. She was also the president of the student council, often planning performances and sport competitions. She was a dazzling figure at school, but she had a very strong personality, not the delicate type. On the contrary, she liked to take care of relatively weaker students. On my first day at the school, I was completely clueless. Song Shiya helped me with everything for a few days. Feeling indebted, I treated her to a meal. That's how she became the person I was most familiar with at the school. So I often stuck to her after class, helping her with physical labor. I was tall and sturdy, and before coming to the school, I was a key player on the basketball team, with a fit body and handsome features. Many people even said that I was the school's new heartthrob, surpassing the former one, Yang Chao. Yang Chao was handsome, but he always looked sickly, which might arouse protective instincts in women. But in a man, it seemed to lack masculinity. Because of his weak health, Song Shiya often took care of him, and I helped out a lot after I arrived. Their families were also close, and both had companies, making them well-known and prestigious families in the area. However, near graduation, Song Shiya came to me. Her eyes were red, and it seemed she had been crying sadly for a long time. "Yang Yunting, do you like me? I like you. If you like me, let's be together." This sudden happiness made me feel violently dizzy. Seeing that I didn't speak, she thought I was rejecting her. As she turned to leave, I grabbed her wrist. "I like you. I've had feelings for you since the first day I transferred here. You're so outstanding, and you also have." Song Shiya quickly covered my mouth, not letting me continue. "It's enough that we like each other. From now on, we're a couple. If you don't fall for someone else, I'll take care of you for the rest of my life. Of course I won't fall for some of you." Before I could finish, she pulled me away. She always had such a whirlwind temper. From that day on, Song Shiya took care of me every day and stopped paying attention to Yang Chao, even being especially affectionate with me in front of him. I didn't think too much about it. That's how we got into the same university. After graduation, she joined her family's company, and I refused her offer, choosing a newly established small company on my own. Because there weren't many senior employees in the company, I quickly became the general manager thanks to my diligence and ability. After another year, I led a team to start my own business, and things went quite well. As the company got on track, I proposed to Song Yasi, she said yes, and then we got married as a matter of course. We lived happily after marriage. The following year, we had a son named Yang Yuxuan. He looked very handsome like me, and he was also a little handsome guy. Song Yasi still had her old temper. She had lived a prosperous life since she was a child. She was the class monitor from elementary school and the chairman of the student union in high school and university. She joined the youth league first and then the party and was on the honor roll every year. So she felt that she had a responsibility to contribute to vulnerable groups. She liked to take care of vulnerable people. She not only had to be busy with company affairs every day, but also took time to do some charity work. Nursing homes and orphanages were places where she often went to do charity work. So she was very busy every day and couldn't take care of the family at all. I suggested many times to hire a nanny. After all, we were both people with companies and were very busy, but she didn't like hiring a nanny, so I took the initiative to take on the housework at home. I also loved her so much. Seeing her so busy every day, I felt very distressed, so whenever I had time, I held my mobile phone and studied various recipes. I made 3 meals a day for her and my son, changing the patterns. When her stomach was not feeling well, I boiled medicine for her and rubbed her stomach. At that time, I wished that the stomach pain would happen to me. Because of my meticulous care, she was full of energy and appeared in front of everyone radiantly every day. Even her best friends and our classmates were envious of us when they mentioned us. When did our family start to break down? This still has to be mentioned when Yang Chao returned to China to settle down. I still remember when we graduated from high school that year. It was the hot time to go abroad. Yang Chao's family sold their domestic industries and prepared to go to their spiritual motherland, the United States, to realize their dream of being superior people. But later, for some reason, they came back. Billions of assets were squandered, and his family has declined since then. After he came back, he began to constantly contact Song Yasi. Not only did his frail and sickly state not improve, but now he even said that he was suffering from some kind of depression. When he had an attack, he wanted to die. So Song Yasi came back later and later. But she reported to me every time and tried to eat dinner at home as much as possible. Yang Chao also added me as a friend. Every time Song Yasi was with him, he also sent me a painless picture to express his gratitude. I didn't take it seriously at first, but Song Yasi came back later and later, and the videos sent by Yang Chao became more and more frequent, and the accompanying words became more and more ambiguous. I often quarreled with Song Yasi about this during that time. She always explained that Yang Chao had no other friends and relatives here, and she was just helping him from a friend's point of view, and said that I knew her character. I forgave her as usual, until one time, she didn't come back all night, just sent me a message. Only 4 words, something happened, not returning. Looking at this concise, telegram-like text message, I suddenly had a bad feeling. Then the phone was turned off. Until the next day, I saw Yang Chao's circle of friends. He posted a video. In the video, he was lying on the sofa, and there was a woman in the kitchen, busy figure, and captioned, "Because you are with me at night, suddenly everything is fine." Isn't that Song Yasi? She never touches spring water at home, but she can take care of others and make a table of food outside. I was worried and didn't sleep all night, but she was taking care of others all night. I picked up my coat and drove straight to Yang Chao's house. It happened that the two of them came out of the house. Yang Chao was the first to see me, then stood still and tidied Song Yasi's clothes. The action was very ambiguous. Song Yasi was seriously making a phone call and didn't react. My violent temper rushed up directly, lifted Yang Chao up, and threw him down the steps, then a combo punch, then a set of military boxing, and finally ended with a lightning 5-stroke whip. I calmed down quietly and saw Yang Chao's 2 legs chow backwards in a strange posture. I knew that the shot was heavy. Song Yasi hurried to him, wanting to pull him up, but his expression was even more painful. Don't move. Broken. Song Yasi hurriedly put down her hand, and Yang Chao, who was lifted up by her, fell to the ground with another scream. "You Xuan, what are you doing?" His depression broke out last night, and he wanted to die. I sent you a message and watched him all night here. Nothing happened between us. What surprised me was that Song Yasi was not only not angry, but also explained to me in a nice voice. I looked at her angrily. She had never seen my expression before, and was startled. "You said there's nothing between you. I believe it. Okay, I'll go to the nightclub to find a little sister for a room right now, and there's nothing between us tomorrow. You better find evidence, or we're done." After beating Yang Chao so badly, my anger also subsided a lot, turned around and left here. Song Yasi chased after me like crazy, but was pulled back by Yang Chao's painful voice and hurriedly called 120 and sent him to the hospital. To my surprise, when I returned home from the nightclub in the early hours of the morning, Song Yasi was waiting for me in the living room with red eyes. Seeing me come in, she hurried forward to support my drunken state. "Why did you drink so much? Sit down for a moment. I'll get a towel to wipe your face." I lay motionless on the sofa waiting. When she wiped my neck, she saw the lipstick mark and love bite, and her hand trembled like a sieve. She knew I wasn't that kind of person, and that I was just trying to make her jealous, but she was still very sad. "Did you see it?" I said with my eyes closed. "Yes." She stopped moving and hummed softly. "You know my temper. I can tolerate everything you do, but I can't tolerate betrayal. Staying overnight at another man's house. I need an explanation." I still had my eyes closed, my tone extremely cold. She took out her phone from her bag and brought a video. It was the surveillance footage from Yang Chao's house. He's weak and timid, so he installed a joint defense system at home. He usually turns it on when he goes to sleep. Every time I go home with him, I make him go in and turn on the surveillance first. Then I go in. I've been careful to maintain the boundaries of friendship with him. Today, both of his legs are broken, and I found a caregiver for him. "I know your temper. If I don't explain it to you tonight, you'll really leave me." I just hummed nonchalantly. "I'm going to sleep here tonight. Don't bother me. You go back to your room." After speaking, I turned over and started snoring. She stayed quietly for a while, then washed up and went to bed. Hearing her close the bedroom door, I jumped up, grabbed my phone, and watched the surveillance video she sent me. Nothing happened yesterday. I fast-forwarded further back, up to the maximum recording period of 30 days, and found nothing inappropriate. So, I forgave her this time. In the following months, Yasi would leave late and return early every day. She not only cooked for me, but also took care of all the housework. In her words, she was really scared that day. She had never seen me like that before, and she felt for the first time that she might lose me. Just when I thought things were back to normal, my father became seriously ill and was sent to our place. I arranged for him to be hospitalized, and while waiting for the surgery, our company had an unprecedentedly large deal. The other party required me to personally sign the contract, and there were some details that needed to be discussed in detail. This contract was too important to me. If we landed it, we would have a huge client, and even if we only worked with them, the company would be doing well. But coincidentally, it happened to fall on the day of the surgery. So I told Yasi what needed to be done at the hospital, and then I left. At noon, after I signed the contract and was about to treat the client to a meal, I received a call from my mother. She said that Yasi had answered a phone call and left, asking if I could go back. She was old and didn't know what to do. I quickly explained the urgent matter at home to the client and rushed back to the hospital. Unexpectedly, I saw my first love, Sue Xinxin, in the ward. As it happened, she was also accompanying her mother for a checkup. My mother said she was very grateful to have met Xinxin, otherwise she really wouldn't have known what to do. Su Xinxin was even more beautiful than before. Her smile was warm and charming, and her exquisite features were even more stunning. She looked capable and stylish in casual clothes. You're even more beautiful." I don't know what was wrong with me. Instead of expressing gratitude immediately, I blurted out this senseless sentence. Maybe it was just that she was too beautiful. She looked at me and smiled gently. "You're still as dorky as ever, but also more mature. Our families have been neighbors since we were kids, and our parents have been close friends for generations." Her father was a very famous pianist. When Su Xinxin was in high school, she went to Europe to pursue her dreams. Now that there are many black people there, and it's very chaotic, she's come back. Before I transferred schools, we were together almost every day since we were little. When we played house with the other kids in elementary school, we always played husband and wife. We were inseparable until high school. In the days before her family left, Su Xinxin stayed at our house. She said she loved my mother's cooking the most, and I was sad for a long time after she left. So we exchanged contact information. I originally wanted to treat them to a meal, and they agreed, but she received a phone call and said she had something to do. We postponed the meal for another time. Then I saw them out of the hospital. My father's surgery went smoothly. I settled my parents in, found them a caregiver, and went back to the company to get busy. I didn't get home until 9 o'clock that night. The house was dark. Yasi wasn't back yet. I called her, but she didn't answer. I might want to call twice, so I went to bed, fuming. The next morning, I was woken up by a clanging sound from the kitchen. I went in and saw that Yasi was back, making a pot of nutritious porridge. She looked flustered when she saw me. Honey, did I wake you up? It's still early. Why don't you go back to sleep for a while? I'll call you when breakfast is ready. I stared at her intently. Aren't you going to explain what happened yesterday? What was so important that you abandoned my parents in the hospital, leaving an old lady to wander around the lobby in a panic? I called you last night, and you didn't answer, and then you didn't come home all night. Do you think this can just be brushed aside? Seeing my grim face, Song Yasi looked contrite. She came over to hug me, but I pushed her away. Honey, don't be like this. I know I was wrong. Yang Chao called me yesterday. He accidentally fell while doing rehabilitation exercises. He was finally able to walk slowly on the ground, but now he's broken his leg again. His family isn't around, and I'm the only friend he's grown up with. I also feel like it's because you broke his leg and he was understanding enough not to call the police because you were just angry, so I wanted to take care of him. There was nothing else. Song Yasi's expression didn't seem to be lying, but I still couldn't forgive her. So you know why I beat him? So this nutritious porridge is for him. Song Yasi, tell me, have you ever cooked a meal for me and the kids at home? At home, you're always the one being taken care of, but with other men, you're cooking and taking care of everything. You keep saying I hit him, but you never mention why I hit him. You're being dramatic. Is it wrong to hit someone who lets another man's wife stay over for a night? I even think I went too easy on him. Song Yasi tried to comfort me, but her hands didn't stop filling the thermos with porridge. Honey, it's still early. When our son wakes up, warm up this porridge for him and take him to school. Then she grabbed the thermos and left. Wow, all my talking was for nothing. After dropping off my son at school, I went to the office, finished my work, and opened my phone. I saw a post on Yang Chao's WeChat moments. He was leisurely lying in bed, opening his mouth for Song Yasi to feed him porridge. Song Yasi was blowing on the porridge to cool it down before feeding it to him. Just like taking care of a baby, the caption read, "This porridge only tastes good when someone feeds it to me." In my memory, she never even took care of me or our son like that. So I commented irritably, "If you can use your hands to post on WeChat moments, you can drink porridge yourself. It's a shame those hands aren't broken." Then I drove to the hospital, pinned Yong Chow to the bed, and gave him a good beating. I also had a big fight with Song Yasi, and then I left a room full of onlookers and walked away. I'm not the type to suffer in silence. If I'm angry, I have to vent it. But after being married to Song Yasi for so many years and having a son, I still couldn't bring myself to divorce her. After all, she used to be good to me. So we started a Cold War. Song Yasi hadn't been home for 7 days, and Yang Chao was still posting on his WeChat moments, mostly videos of Song Yasi taking care of him. But now he also had bandages on his head. Even with such serious injuries, he didn't forget to post on WeChat moments to provoke me. What I couldn't stand the most was my wife not coming home at night, especially when she was with another man. They say a Cold War is the most damaging thing to a relationship, and that's absolutely true. I work hard all day, come home to take care of my son, and then see Yang Chao's WeChat moments, and then lie in bed with my eyes open until dawn. Until Sunday when my son had a day off, I decided to take him to the amusement park for the day. He hadn't seen his mother for a few days, and he was a little unhappy. Just as we were getting ready to leave, Song Yasi pushed the door open and came in. There was some apology and guilt in her eyes when she looked at me and my son. When my son saw his mother, he happily jumped on her, hugging and kissing her. He was very happy. I have to say, Song Yasi is very good to our son, even more patient than I am. Are you guys going out? Can I come along? Song Yasi picked up our son and asked, but she was looking at me. Great. Dad is taking me to the amusement park today. If Mom comes too, the 3 of us can go together. That's wonderful. My son danced with joy. Looking at the happy faces of the mother and son, I felt a strange feeling. She hadn't cared about him for days, but as soon as she came back, he was still so close to his mother. Song Yasi noticed that I was unhappy, put down our son, took my hand, and said coquettishly, "Honey, I was supposed to come back that night, but who knew you'd go over and beat him up again?" After the examination, he had a mild concussion, and his eyes were so swollen that he couldn't open them. I had to take care of him for a few more days. His mother came today, so I came back. Besides, Yang Chao was decent enough to tell his mother that he was hit by a car. All right, don't mention his name in front of me. Don't you think he's despicable? He doesn't learn his lesson even with broken legs, and he still posts on WeChat moments to provoke me. I think I went too easy on him. I should have given him a severe concussion. All right, honey, don't be angry. I'm back, aren't I? I won't go anywhere today. I'll stay with you and our son, okay? Before she could finish, the phone rang. She looked nervously for her phone. It turned out to be mine. We have the same brand. I took out my new Huawei foldable phone. It was a Middle Eastern client who came to inspect the company a few days ago, placing an order. Securing this order would make our company a hit in the Middle East. As the CEO of the company, I couldn't miss such an important occasion. So, I said I had something to attend to and rushed out. As the saying goes, losing in love, winning in business. This year, not only have the company's large orders repeatedly broken records, but now we've also entered the international market. Everything went smoothly, and the Middle Eastern client was very straightforward. We quickly signed the contract. At noon, I booked the most luxurious hotel in the city to treat them and reward my employees for their hard work. Just as the atmosphere was heating up, my phone rang. It was the police station calling. They said my son had gotten separated from his family at the amusement park and had been taken to the police station. They asked me to pick him up. My head buzzed, and I hurriedly made some arrangements before driving straight to the police station. I called Yasi several times on the way, but she didn't answer. At the police station, I was relieved to see that my son was being well taken care of by the police. I thanked them and took him home. After questioning my son, I learned that as soon as they arrived at the amusement park and entered the children's play area, she received a phone call and rushed off, leaving my 5-year-old son crying and unable to find his mother. The staff announced over the loudspeaker several times, but no one came. Finally, they called the police. After hearing my son's account, my already fiery temper flared up. What could be so important that she could abandon her 5-year-old child and leave? Before, she could abandon me and my parents, who were about to have surgery in the hospital, for her childhood sweetheart. Now, she could abandon her 5-year-old son at the amusement park. No matter what reason she gives me this time, I will not forgive her. I took my son back to our villa in the suburbs and settled him in. Then, I printed out the divorce agreement myself. After all, divorce is not a glorious thing, so I didn't bother my lawyer. Then, I sent it to Song Yasi. Less than a minute later, Song Yasi called me. It turned out that she wasn't unable to see the messages and calls I had sent her before, but she just didn't want to reply. As soon as I answered, her anxious and flustered voice came through the phone. Honey, what are you doing? Don't scare me, okay? Yang Chao sent me a video today. He was already on the top floor of the hospital, saying he didn't want to live anymore. You know me, I can't just watch someone jump, even if they're a stranger. Luckily, he's stable now. I'm coming back now. I coldly interrupted her. Do you know where her son is right now? A son, she screamed, followed by a thud, as if the phone had fallen to the ground, and then the call ended. I comforted my frightened son for a while, then made him lunch. It wasn't until 12 noon that Song Yasi called again. Is my son with you? Why didn't you tell me? This morning has driven me crazy, you know that? Now you think of your son? What were you thinking when you left him at the amusement park? You could abandon me for your white Moonlight, abandon my parents, but I never thought you were so inhumane that you could even abandon your 5-year-old son. Meet me at the Civil Affairs Bureau gate at 9 o'clock tomorrow. You know me, I wouldn't easily bring up divorce. This is something I've thought about for a long time. After saying that, I hung up the phone. My son looked at me innocently. Dad, are you going to divorce Mom? I nodded without saying anything. I don't want Mom and Dad to get divorced. I love both Mom and Dad. Can you not separate? I don't want to lose either of you. Only when the three of us are together is it a home. If you divorce, I won't have a home. Hearing my son's words, my eyes instantly turned red. How could a 5-year-old understand so much? Did your mother teach you to say that? Seeing that I was a little unhappy, my son quickly shook his head. Mom and I watched it on TV at night. Those divorced children are so pitiful. Their stepfathers and stepmothers treat them very badly. Dad, I don't want to be like them. After my son finished speaking, he shook my arm. Looking at his little face, which was just like mine, my heart softened. Song Yasi came back and adopted a very low posture, almost humbly trying to please me. I didn't say anything and didn't mention the divorce again. From that day on, I devoted myself to work. After getting off work, I didn't rush home. I was either with friends or entertaining clients. Sometimes I wouldn't go home for days. Sometimes I would get drunk and be helped home. Song Yasi was always at home every night, preparing a table full of my favorite dishes and waiting for me to come back. Although I never ate a bite, she always made hangover soup and stomach-nourishing porridge for me when I was drunk and fed it to me. Then, she painstakingly dragged my tall, strong body, helped me take a bath, changed me into pajamas, and then helped me to the room and held me to sleep. Every morning when I opened my eyes, she had already prepared breakfast and was waiting for me. Before, every time I drank too much with clients, I felt very uncomfortable the next day, but now I felt very comfortable. I thought it was because the wine was good, mellow, not intoxicating, so I bought a lot as a treat. I really didn't know it was because Song Yasi took good care of me at night, not only providing hangover soup and stomach-nourishing porridge, but also getting up several times every night to feed me water. I put on my clothes, finished washing up, glanced at the living room, and took advantage of her absence to quickly go out, never paying attention to her tired appearance and the big dark circles under her eyes. Today at noon, the company cafeteria chef had just delivered the meal he had specially prepared for me when I received a call from my mother. She said that Su Xinxin took her and her mother to the shopping mall. When getting on the escalator, due to inertia, my mother was old and couldn't stand firmly. Seeing that she was about to fall, Su Xinxin caught her from behind. My mother was fine, but Su Xinxin's 2 feet, wearing high heels, were severely sprained. I soon arrived at the shopping plaza, and the 3 of them were waiting outside. I carried her to the car and called a cab for my mom and her mom to take them home, since they were older and I didn't want them to come with me. Soon, we arrived at the hospital. I checked her in, paid the fees, and after everything was settled, it was already noon. I bought a few of Su Xinxin's favorite vegetarian dishes at a nicer restaurant nearby. When we were kids, she often ate at my house, so I knew what she liked. As I was passing a ward with a few takeout boxes, I heard a familiar voice. "Yasi, you haven't come to see me for days. Why do you look so unwell? Your complexion is worse than mine, and I'm the patient." It was Yang Chao speaking. The person next to him was none other than my wife, Song Yasi. Facing Yang Chao's inquiry, she didn't answer, but quietly took out a few insulated containers from the bag she was carrying and placed them on the bedside table. At this time, Yang Chao already had his phone in his right hand. After waiting for a while without seeing any action from Song Yasi, he turned to look at her. "Yasi, aren't you going to feed me this time? I'm still a little uncomfortable. I see you holding your phone with your right hand just fine, so you can eat by yourself." I saw that she had a serious look on her face when she said this. After being married for so many years, I knew her too well. She was always smiling like a kind, approachable girl next door. If she wasn't smiling, it meant she was unhappy, let alone the fact that she was wearing a frown right now. Yang Chao, realizing that his little scheme had been discovered, looked a little embarrassed. He inconspicuously put away the phone he was about to use to post on social media, and his tone softened. "Yasi, I asked you to come today because I've been feeling empty since you haven't been by my side these past few days. Ever since I was beaten by your husband, I haven't been able to get out of bed for months. My friends have all advised me to call the police, but I refused. How could they understand what kind of relationship we have? We're not just classmates, but childhood sweethearts who grew up together. I won't send him to jail out of respect for you." Before he could finish speaking, Song Yasi interrupted him. "You've said that countless times. There's no need to repeat it over and over again." Song Yasi frowned, looking a little impatient, but she still picked up a spoon and fed the food to Yang Chao's mouth. "What are you doing standing at the door, big man? Either come in or go away. It's impolite to block the door." It was a nurse with a bit of a temper who was speaking. As she spoke, she pushed open the door, and Song Yasi and Yang Chao inside both saw me. When Song Yasi saw me, she froze as if she had been petrified. The spoon she was holding to Yang Chao's mouth suddenly fell onto him, and the well-insulated porridge flowed down his stomach, scalding him and causing him to yell. Song Yasi didn't even glance at him, but ran over and grabbed my hand. "Husband, it's not what you think. I gestured for her to stop talking, walked over to Yang Chao, and the nurse had already helped him clean the porridge off his body. After the nurse finished examining him, I patted Yang Chao's face. "You little rascal, you're living quite the comfortable life, having my wife feed you. Even my son doesn't get that kind of treatment at home. Looks like I'm going to have to knock all your teeth out this time." Yang Chao was so frightened by my words that he trembled all over. After all, I have a pretty good reputation. I generally deliver on my promises to beat him up. "Yeah, sure. Control him. Don't let him run wild. If he beats me up every few days, I won't recover for a year," Yang Chao said, inching toward the wall. His pathetic appearance was disgusting. Song Shiya took my hand. "Honey, calm down. Don't make a big deal out of this, okay?" Her tone was light. Perhaps it was my imagination, but she didn't shout and scream, worrying about Yang Chao as I expected, but rather comforted me. I lowered my fist. "You sure, you sure? How affectionately you call him. See, even my wife feels sorry for him and tells me not to hit you, so I'll spare you this time. But my wife won't feed you this meal. I'll do it myself." As I spoke, I picked up the lunchbox with one hand and pinched his mouth open with the other, dumping the food in, then using chopsticks to shove it down, one dish after another. Song Shiya tried to pull me away, but I stopped her with a glare. After 2 dishes, he couldn't swallow the third no matter what, so I poured it on his face. "You still want to call the police, huh? Let me help you dial." I took out my phone to dial, but Song Shiya snatched it away. "Honey, are you crazy? You'll be arrested." "Why would the police arrest me? He forced my wife to stay at his house overnight, and I went to fight him. Even if he's injured, it's his fault. At most, I'll compensate him a little to show pity. I can handle this little thing. I'll give more money for a package deal in the future. Beating him up a few more times a month will save a lot of money." After saying that, the 3 dishes and porridge were all over his face. "That's all for today. I'll see you tomorrow." I left the ward without looking back. After arriving at Sue Xinxin's ward, I opened the lids of several takeout boxes and placed them on the dining table. Her eyes lit up when she saw them. "After all these years, you still remember what I love to eat. I suffered so much abroad. I dream of eating the dishes Annie makes." "Eat as much as you like," I said gently, my tone completely different from before. I don't know if it was because I was facing my childhood crush or because the beating had vented my anger. I felt like I had no worries at all now. I put a little of each dish in a small bowl for her to eat easily. Bang! A loud door slam broke the beautiful atmosphere. "Yang Yinting, can you introduce me to this person?" Seeing Song Shiya burst in angrily, I felt very unhappy, even disgusted. "This is the person who ran around handling the procedures when you left my parents at the hospital, the person who accompanied my mother shopping today, the person who was injured to save my mother, and also the friend I've been playing with since I was a child." After hearing this, a fleeting moment of guilt flashed in Song Shiya's eyes. Then she smiled and stepped forward to greet her. "Hello, dear. I'm Yinting's wife. Yinting often mentions you, saying you're like his own sister." Su Xinxin also enthusiastically called her sister-in-law in response. "You just finished feeding your white Moonlight. Aren't you going to wash his face and wipe his mouth? I can take care of Xinxin. You should go back. Otherwise, he's going to be dying again." I deliberately called her Xinxin in front of Song Shiya. Because Yang Chao always called her Yasi, she didn't refuse. "Honey, do you have to act like this in front of outsiders? I've told you so many times, you've misunderstood. I already found a caregiver for him. I won't be looking after him anymore." Song Yasi was cautious and ingratiating, deliberately emphasizing the word outsiders. I didn't want to argue with her in front of Su Xinxin, so I promised to go home after work, and she left with an awkward expression. It wasn't until Su Xinxin finished dinner that night, and I found her a companion, that I reluctantly went home. Being with Su Xinxin always led to endless topics. I was interested in everything she said, and she was very receptive to what I said, often looking at me with admiration. After being with Song Yasi for a long time, she would calmly talk to me no matter what I said. I also wanted my wife to praise me a few times. Perhaps we knew each other too well and were too familiar with each other. Apart from daily communication, there was nothing exciting to talk about. Maybe this is what people call not being able to provide emotional value. Maybe all couples' feelings slowly fade like this. I opened the door, took off my coat, changed my shoes, and smelled a fragrance when I entered the living room. My son ran over and jumped into my arms. "Dad, Mom bought me a lot of toys today, and she also bought a lot of my favorite dishes." My son babbled on and on about what he had done with his mother all day. A child's happiness cannot be faked, but I no longer had the same feeling for Song Yasi as before. She was happy to see me back and told me to wait a little longer, as there were only 2 more dishes to be cooked. I looked at the table already full of dishes, spoke to her perfunctorily, and collapsed on the sofa, unable to muster any energy. I felt so tired as soon as I got home and wanted to close my eyes and rest. I didn't expect to fall asleep, and when I opened my eyes, it was already past 10 o'clock. I had slept for 3 hours. Song Yasi saw that I was awake and reminded me to wash my hands, saying she would heat up the food. My son put down his snacks and happily said, "Dad's awake. We can eat." After the 3 of us sat down, my son couldn't wait to take a big bite. "Eat slowly. No one's going to snatch it from you," Song Yasi gently scolded, then looked at me tenderly. "You used to cook? Try my cooking today." With that, she pushed over a large plate of peeled shrimp. "You love shrimp the most. Try it and see how it tastes." "Mom, I love shrimp the most too. I want some too." My son, with oil all over his mouth, called out to his mother. Song Yasi used a small bowl to scoop out a little and put it in front of her son. "You and your dad not only look alike, but your habits and hobbies are also exactly the same. In another 10 years, our son will definitely be more handsome than you." I didn't look at Song Yasi's amorous gaze, but just lowered my head and ate. After only a few bites, I felt full and went to take a shower. Song Yasi's gaze lingered on me as I entered the bathroom. Has this family made him unwilling to say a word? After showering, I went to bed. In a daze, I felt someone taking off my pajamas. I opened my eyes and saw Song Yasi sitting on top of me, naked, taking off my clothes. I hurriedly pushed her away. "I'm a little tired tonight, and I have a meeting tomorrow morning." With that, I tugged at my pajamas and turned to the side. Her sobs came from behind. "Husband, can you please not treat me like this? Your cold attitude these past few days scares me. We used to say we do it every 3 days. It's been months since you've touched me. You've been with Yang Chao these past few months, haven't you? How am I supposed to touch you? Should I run to Yang Chao's and touch you in front of him? Or should we both touch you together?" I was already annoyed, and being woken up from my sleep made me even angrier. These words came out of my mouth without thinking. Hearing this, Song Yasi cried even harder. "Husband, you know my personality, my character, so why do you have to slander me like this? The reason I was taking care of Yang Chao at the hospital in the first place was because you injured him, and I was afraid he would call the police. After that, I was always waiting for you at home, but you wouldn't come back for days at a time, and when you did, you were always drunk out of your mind. I was afraid you were uncomfortable, so I stayed up all night taking care of you. I really love you. Your changes during this time make me feel strange and scared. I've discovered that the person I used to be most familiar with has become so unfamiliar. Is it because your white moonlight has returned that you've changed your heart? The way I saw you treating her outside the door that day, that's exactly how you used to love me. It's clearly you who's changed your heart, but you're pushing all the blame onto me. Yang Yunting, I won't take this blame. Why did I break his leg? Before I broke his leg, weren't you taking care of him plenty? XINXN was injured saving my mother, and you can't even stand me going to the hospital to take care of her. Who is Yang Chao to you? You stayed at his house to take care of him. Do you know what he was thinking? What am I supposed to think? You're also a company president. Can't you really see what he's thinking?" After saying that, I got out of bed and went to sleep in the guest room. In the months that followed, I spent every day with Su Xinxin. After her foot injury healed, She came to my company to work as my secretary. That day after work, she stopped me and said she wanted to treat me to dinner, saying she wanted me to take care of her after she started working. We went to a hotel that wasn't too expensive, but had a nice atmosphere. After ordering our food, we started chatting. She pulled open my shirt, revealing my shoulder. I remember I bit you on the shoulder when I left, saying I'd leave a mark to make you remember me. Why isn't there a scar? You watched too many TV dramas when you were little. Besides, you didn't even use much force. It was just a scratch. How could it leave a scar? But you're pretty shameless. When it was my turn to bite you, you ran away. Oomph. You have the nerve to say that. People usually bite on the shoulder, but you were so silly, you opened your mouth wide and went straight for my face. If I hadn't run, wouldn't I have been disfigured? Sue Xinxin rolled her eyes at me, pouting. That's right. I haven't asked you yet. How come you didn't find a boyfriend after being abroad for so many years? I've been abroad too. A goddess like you is much better than those big, clumsy, more manly than men foreign women. There's no way no one was pursuing you. Ever since I arrived abroad, I didn't like it there. I knew I would come back. Besides, foreigners have different ideas and living habits. I think men from our country are better. Then tell me, how did you meet your sister-in-law? You're so silly. It must have been hard for your sister-in-law all these years. So I told her about my relationship with Song Yasi from beginning to end, and even about Yang Chao. Just mentioning him made me feel bad. I drank too much because I was in a bad mood, and when I woke up the next day, I was at Su Xinxin's house. When I came out of the room, she had already made breakfast, so we ate together and went to the company. Who knew that as soon as I got out of the car, I saw Song Yasi. She walked up to me, suppressing her anger. Where did you stay last night? I drank too much yesterday. Xinxin took me home. So, you stayed with her last night? What's wrong? You used to do this a lot. Are you here to interrogate me today? She was speechless by what I said. I ignored her and went straight into the company. It wasn't until the afternoon, when Su Xinxin and I were about to go to lunch nearby, that I saw Song Yasi still waiting outside. Honey, I want to talk to you for a few words. Song Yasi wanted to pull me, but I dodged her. Go ahead. She glanced at Su Xinxin and didn't speak. Su Xinxin tactfully found a reason to leave. Honey, are you deliberately trying to make me angry by doing the same thing? Or are you serious about her? What if I make you angry? What if I'm serious? My tone was very indifferent. If you want to make me angry, I'll allow you to be with her once, but only once because Yang Chao and I are innocent. It was my lack of boundaries because I didn't rest well. I'm willing to pay for my mistake. If you're serious about her, I'm willing to fulfill you and divorce you. I love you. I also want you to be happy, instead of seeing you looking unhappy at home every day. You don't know how much it hurts me to see you like this. I can't stand you always being so cold. Song Yasi was already in tears as she spoke. Looking at her sad appearance, I didn't feel a ripple in my heart. Song Yasi, there's nothing between Xinxin and me, but I don't have any feelings for you anymore. In the past, let alone you shedding tears, even if you frowned, my heart would ache for a long time. Now, even if I see you crying, I don't have any emotions. In the past, when I came home and saw you and my son, I would feel very warm and have endless things to say. Now, when I come home, I feel like there's nothing to say. Can you understand my feelings? It's just that I don't love you anymore. Song Yasi, I really don't love you anymore. She was stunned by what I said. If it weren't for the tears flowing nonstop, it might make me feel like time had stopped. After a long while, she silently came back to her senses. Honey, I know it's my fault. Tomorrow is our son's birthday. Can you spend the day with us like you used to, and then I'll set you free? Her request wasn't excessive, so I nodded in agreement. The next day, I arrived early in the morning at the hotel we had agreed upon. Song Yasi had booked the entire hotel, and she and my son had been waiting for me for a while. When my son saw me coming, he ran towards me from afar, saying that he hadn't seen me for a few days and missed me very much. I hugged him and came to Song Yasi's side. The staff pushed over a large cake tower. I lit the candles on top. Honey, make a wish. I kissed my son and said, I hope that my dad and mom will always love each other and always live in a A cell phone ring interrupted my son's wish. Song Yasi glanced at the phone, awkwardly hung up directly, and then said with a gentle smile, "Continue making your wish, son. I hope that my dad and mom will always." The phone rang again, and Song Yasi hung up decisively once more. No one dared to ask their son to continue making his wish. The silence was somewhat awkward. My son looked at us with his bright, curious eyes. Another phone ring shattered the silence. "Answer it. Otherwise, they'll keep calling, and your son won't be able to make his wish," I said to her helplessly. Song Yasi answered the phone, but for the first time ever, the usually gentle woman roared into the receiver. "Are you crazy? Didn't I tell you it's my son's birthday today? Why are you calling when my family is finally together?" After listening to a few words on the other end, Song Yasi's face turned ghastly pale. She hung up and said to me in a panic, "Honey, Yang Chao had an accident. He's in the ICU. His mother called me, and I don't know what to do. I'll be right back. Wait for me." With that, she rushed to leave, but I grabbed her arm. Of course, I wasn't going to stop her. "Yasi, let me just say one thing. Yang Chao will be fine. Don't worry. Drive carefully." Then I let go of her hand. Song Yasi looked at me with a complicated expression for a moment before leaving. I was utterly heartbroken. I had made myself clear, but she still chose to believe that something would happen to Yang Chao. Seeing the disappointment on my son's face, I knew his mother wouldn't be back for a while. Celebrating his birthday with just the two of us felt a bit lonely, so I called my secretary, Su Xinxin, and asked her to come over and celebrate with us. Su Xinxin arrived shortly after. After we finished the cake, she insisted on dragging us out to have some fun, saying that spending the whole day in the hotel would be too boring. We already spent the money to book the room for a day. Wouldn't that be a waste? I hadn't even finished worrying about the cost when she pulled me out the door. First, she took us to the aquarium, then to the amusement park and the science museum in the afternoon, and finally to a children's theater in the evening. My son's face was beaming with smiles all day long. The reason my son had so much fun with Su Xinxin was that she wasn't just trying to entertain him. She was having even more fun than he was. There were some activities where my son was tired, but she dragged him onto them. She played with him like a friend, and, as I expected, Song Yasi didn't come back that night. My son wouldn't let Su Xinxin leave, so I had to ask her to put him to bed. I turned off the lights and spent the whole night in the living room smoking, reminiscing about my relationship with Song Yasi, from the moment we met to the present, the happiness and the bitterness from the passion of our early days to the silent indifference we shared now. When dawn broke, I had completely let go. At noon that day, Song Yasi called me. She said she was waiting for me at the Civil Affairs Bureau to complete the divorce paperwork. I was shocked. I didn't expect her to be so proactive about the divorce. I asked Su Xinxin to stay home and watch my son, and I drove to the Civil Affairs Bureau myself. Sure enough, Song Yasi was waiting at the entrance. When she saw me, she went inside without waiting for me to approach, which left me completely bewildered. How could her attitude change so quickly after just one day? I followed her inside, and because there were so few people, we quickly completed the divorce certificate. We each had our own company, so there were no issues with property division. The only problem was the custody of our child. We both wanted him, so we went to a coffee shop to discuss the custody of our child. "Yin Ting, please let me have our son. You have to give me something to hold on to. You've left me. I can't lose my son too." "Absolutely not. The thought of my son calling Yong Chow dad makes me sick to my stomach. If you don't agree, we'll go to court." I don't believe a court would grant custody to someone who would abandon their son at an amusement park. Everything else was negotiable, but our son was not. "Yin Ting, why do you assume I would marry Yang Chao after our divorce? I really just see him as a friend now. I admit I spent a few days with him before I confessed my feelings for you, but it was only a few days. You know, our families have been close since we were kids. I took care of him when we were in school because he was weak. Later, he confessed his feelings, and I foolishly agreed to be with him. But then his family said they were immigrating to America and wouldn't be back, so we broke up. I was in a bad mood then, and that's when I saw you. I had a crush on you, so I confessed my feelings. You were so good to me, and I fell in love with you wholeheartedly. There's no way I could ever be with Yang Chao. After hearing her explanation, it turned out that Yang Chao and his mother had tricked Song Yasi yesterday. Nothing had happened to him. He just knew we were getting divorced, and that our family would be together for our son's birthday. So he wanted to ruin the birthday, knowing it would lead to divorce. Yang Chao and his mother did everything they could to harass Song Yasi for a day and a night. Today, when she found out the truth, she had a big fight with them. She also felt too ashamed to keep bothering me, so she took the initiative to ask for a divorce today. In the end, she even knelt down and begged me to give her our son. Considering our years of marriage, I agreed and even left her the house we used to live in. She promised that I could see our son whenever I wanted and that she wouldn't marry Yang Chao and have our son call him dad. As for marrying someone else, I had no right to interfere. I took a long vacation for myself. I had always wanted to travel to France, but never had the time. I'd heard since I was a child that France was the city of romance, and that breathing the air there could make even the most boring person fall in love. But recently, I watched a video by a travel blogger called Cousin on Douyin who said France was a dump. I didn't believe it. After all, hearing about it is not as good as seeing it for yourself. Sure enough, as soon as I arrived in France, I was nauseated by the excrement everywhere. The stench of urine hit me in the face as soon as I got off the subway. The Eiffel Tower and the Champs-Élysées were also dilapidated. After arriving, I just wanted to apologize to Cousin and say I was wrong. I hadn't been in France for a few days when I received a call from Su Xinxin. She said my father was in the hospital again, and this time it was serious, and I needed to come back quickly. So I returned home as fast as I could. The hospital had already advised the family to give up treatment, and that he should do whatever he wanted to do with the few days he had left. He spoke very softly, and I had to lean close to his ear to hear what he was saying. He opened his mouth for a long time before my mother told us that your father wants to see you settle down again, so he can rest assured. Marriage is not child's play. It's not like you can just grab someone off the street whenever you want to get married. My mom, being the straightforward person she is, blurted out, I think Xin is a great girl. We've watched her grow up. If her family hadn't moved abroad, she'd probably have a couple of kids by now. My mom's words made me break out in a cold sweat. Xin is a young woman who hasn't even had a boyfriend yet. How could she possibly be interested in a divorced man with a child? Besides, Su Xinxin was right there. How embarrassing would that be? Facing an elder with a serious illness, would she agree or refuse? Before I could even speak, Su Xinxin jumped in. Auntie, I do. I just don't know what Yinting thinks. It's settled as long as you agree. What opinions could a divorced man have? My mom shot me a glare as she said that. She really is my own mother. She started complaining about me before I even said anything. Unexpectedly, they then started discussing the details of the wedding. I quickly interrupted them under the pretext of having work to do at the company. Otherwise, they would have started making arrangements for booking a hotel. As I drove Su Xinxin in the car, I was initially a little awkward and we didn't speak. Thank you for helping me fulfill my parents' wishes. I took the initiative to break the silence. Actually, Yinting, what I said just now is true. I'm willing to marry you. The reason I came back this time was for you, but I only heard that you were already married after I returned. Having lived abroad for many years, she was not at all shy. But I'm divorced, and I have a child. Don't you mind? What era are we in? Why are you still so old-fashioned? I'll just ask you one thing. Do you like me? Su Xinxin asked, staring at me with her beautiful eyes. I do like you, but if you like me, that's all that matters. No buts. Why don't we go to a wedding planning company today? So we went to one of the most reputable wedding planning companies. Although Su Xinxin had been abroad for many years, she particularly loved traditional Chinese culture, so the style of the wedding would follow ancient customs. I ordered her a set of the most luxurious Fagon Chapeau. The only downside of this Fagon Chapeau was that it was too expensive. Other than being expensive, there were no other flaws. It was dignified, grand, noble, and elegant. After looking at it for a long time, I couldn't help but sigh. The things of our ancestors are truly good. We spent a day finalizing the main theme and style of the wedding, and then it was time to book a hotel. Of course, we booked the most luxurious one, and because my budget was sufficient, the hotel even let us stay in the most luxurious presidential suite until the wedding was over. This presidential suite was truly luxurious. I took a shower first and lay on the bed, checking the company group chat to see what had happened today. At this time, Sue Xinxin also came out after showering. She was already stunning, but now she looked even more captivating with her wet hair. Besides, I'm not the kind of person with great self-control. I pulled her directly onto the bed and then, Yin Ting, don't rush. My hair isn't dry yet. I like your hair wet. Still calling me Yin Ting? See how I punish you. I pretended to be angry and patted her, and she stopped resisting. 2 hours later, I lay exhausted and motionless while she cleaned up the bloodstains on the bed. At this moment, the phone rang, and I saw that it was Song Shiya. What's wrong so late? I answered the phone, but my voice was hoarse and full of lust. There was a moment of silence on the other end of the phone. Yang Yinting, what are you doing? Perhaps she heard that something was wrong with my voice. If you have something to say, say it. What I do has nothing to do with you. My good mood was ruined by her, and I was already very unhappy. Where are you now? Who are you with? I'm in a hotel with my wife. Are you satisfied? Su Xinxin pinched my waist when she heard me say that. How did you get a wife so quickly? Is it your childhood sweetheart who came back from abroad? You dare to want someone who came back from such an open and chaotic place. Did you call me so late just to spew nonsense? Isn't Yang Chao the same? Didn't he come back from abroad? Aren't you two doing well? Do you have something to say or not? Yang Yinting, I originally wanted to give you a chance. It seems you're really sick. After saying that, I turn off the phone. My little darling, I have energy again. Hey there. The next day, we continued to refine the details of the wedding, and the invitations were also sent out. The wedding was scheduled for 5 days later, and that day was an auspicious day. At noon, Song Shiya called me and asked me to go to her place because she had something to say to me. After all, she is the mother of my child, so it's better to clear some things up. I greeted Su Xinxin and went over. When I saw Song Shiya again, she looked very out of sorts, exhausted, and haggard. The first thing she said to me was, Yang Chao is dead. I said calmly, when did it happen? But this time, even though he leaned his body out, Song Shiya did not agree to meet him. Yang Chao, who was not fully recovered, slipped and fell. The 28th floor. He was crushed to pieces. When I saw him die, I didn't feel any heartache. Instead, I felt that the barrier between us was gone, and you could come back to my side. So I called you immediately, but I didn't expect. At this point, she burst into tears. I put my arms around her and comforted her. Although we are not husband and wife, you will always be the mother of my child. I will not ignore you if anything happens. Look forward. After my afternoon of persuasion, Song Shiya finally came to her senses. When is the wedding? I'll give you a big gift then. 5 days later, on the day of my wedding with Su Xinxin, the wedding was particularly grand. Basically, all the prominent figures in the area came. When Su Xinxin came out wearing a danger funkenshapui worth millions, everyone in the audience was stunned. I went over and took her hand, and together we received the congratulations from the relatives and friends below the stage. The whole wedding went very smoothly. Song Shiya herself did not come to the wedding, but the big gift she said she would give did arrive, and it was really big. It was 50% of the shares of her company. She handed the company over to me and funded the construction of an orphanage. Later, she invested most of the company's dividends in charitable causes, which is her most passionate industry. Because she has always had a heart to help the weak, giving me half of the company's shares is also because she is afraid that she will do all the good deeds on impulse, which can be regarded as leaving some assets for her son. In fact, she was completely overthinking it. I wouldn't mistreat her son either. Although Su Xinxin also gave me 2 children, they're all the same in my eyes. Because Song Shiya is too busy, my son still lives with me most of the time, and Su Xinxin treats him like her own son. After dinner, watching the nanny clean up the dishes, Xin and the eldest son coaxing the two younger ones, the harmonious scene made me feel that this is happiness. While I was feeling emotional, Song Shiya called me. She told me about her recent events and told me to pay attention to my health and not to be too tired. I also cared about her for a few words and hung up after chatting for a while. After all, we were together for several years, and she is also the mother of my child. Although we don't live together, I also wish her a happy life and everything goes smoothly.